Boxing news.
And this is exactly why he's on a Europe tour as we speak. This is why Canelo is the pioneer of the NBF belt, no fighters witness protection franchise. Because again, Canelo is the best non-fighter in the world. That's what he is, because he don't fight any fighters, which is the most dominant, because he don't want to fight. He don't want to have flashbacks of what happened to him when he fought Floyd.
You know, in my previous video, we've talked about all the inaccuracies in association with this individual's commentary, with this individual's candor. We've talked about how what this guy's saying has no basis in reality, because Canelo Alvarez has since fought the same fighters that this individual claims he's been avoiding.
He has.
If you let this guy tell the story, Canelo Alvarez has been avoiding black fighters since the Floyd Mayweather Jr. fight for having lost that fight.
That is a lie.
Canelo Alvarez, of his own volition, made the decision to take on a prime Erislandy Lara at a time when there was no financial incentive to do so, at a time when Erislandy Lara was a high-risk, low-reward guy. I mean, there's never been a financial incentive to take on Erislandy Lara. There wasn't one when Canelo Alvarez decided to fight him way back when, in his prime years, and there still isn't one here today. Erislandy Lara, for years, has put up the lowest viewing figures for the PBC. There's never been a financial incentive to fight this guy, but Canelo Alvarez made the decision to fight him.
Well, I thought all he did was avoid black fighters.
Then why did he fight Daniel Jacobs before leaving the middleweight division? Why did he unify titles with Daniel Jacobs, the then IBF champion, if he's the kind of fighter that avoids black fighters?
Why?
You have to account for it. You have to make it make sense. Daniel Jacobs, who had given Gennady Golovkin one of the hardest fights of his career. Daniel Jacobs, who then and now had a more robust body of work than either Demetrius Andre, than either Jermall Charlo, faced more of the middleweight division's top-tier, top-shelf fighters than either of those two guys. If Canelo Alvarez is in the business of avoiding fighters, why'd he fight Daniel Jacobs?
Exactly why he's on a Europe tour as we speak. This is why Canelo is the pioneer of the NBF belt, no fighters witness protection franchise. Because again, Canelo is the best non-black fighter in the world. That's what he is, because he don't fight any black fighters, which is the most dominant, because he don't want to fight. He don't want to have flashbacks of what happened to him when he fought Floyd.
He's fought two fighters since he fought Floyd.
Two of the best at that time. So why is this YTBC person willfully omitting that information? Why is he attempting to purvey this false narrative and paint Canelo Alvarez
in this false light?
And what expectation is he attempting to create here? Is Canelo Alvarez supposed to give certain fighters preferential treatment based on the color of their Is that what we're trying to communicate here? Is that what we're trying to get across? That only certain fighters of a certain denomination should be a priority to Canelo Alvarez? Last I checked, he's a world champion who fights fighters from around the world. Sergey Kovalev of Russia, Billy Joe Saunders of the United Kingdom, and Callum Smith along with him. Daniel Jacobs of America, Erislandy Lara of Cuba, Miguel Cotto of Puerto Rico, Gennady Golovkin of Kazakhstan.
Fighting guys from all over the place.
What expectation is this guy trying to create? That Canelo should only fight certain fighters of a certain denomination? That those fighters should get priority, preferential treatment over most anyone else, regardless of who they are?
What?
And this is based on what exactly?
Some kind of made-up quota.
I want you guys to understand something here. This isn't so much about Canelo Alvarez and his career, what he has and hasn't done, who he has and hasn't fought. This isn't so much about that, but the toxicity of these kinds of YouTube authors, the danger of this kind of vitriol, this kind of inaccurate candor.
This ain't just about Canelo.
This is one example, just one example, but one example of the filth that these kinds of YouTube authors spread throughout the YTBC, the YouTube boxing community. How it unnecessarily, quite unnecessarily, creates division on the premise of
tribalism for profit.
You see, ladies and gentlemen, what's going on here is an individual like Aki TV, for example. What he's doing, in essence, what he's doing is taking real-life issues that perhaps strike a chord with a lot of people and injecting them in places where they are not present, where they do not belong. Rest assured, there are real issues going on in America, in the world, that need to be addressed, and needs solutions, real solutions. There are those issues, but he is misappropriating those issues and injecting them in places where they are not present, where they do not belong, as a means to appeal to a certain audience. He wants to appeal to that audience by talking about things that sound familiar, things that might hit close to home.
He's exploiting those issues.
And in effect, exploiting who those issues might affect the most.
It's exploitation.
And it's exploitation behind the guise of ethnic and national pride.
That's what he's doing.
That's what it is. Pride. National, ethnic, or otherwise. Pride in oneself and one's people does not require one to tear down
everybody else.
Pride in one's self and one's people does not require one to diminish, belittle, or berate
others.
Those out there who might be different from oneself. It doesn't require one to do this. Pride in oneself, put simply, doesn't mean it's okay to start tearing people down just because they're not from where you're from or they're not what you are.
That ain't pride. That's prejudice.
And that's what we see here. Prejudice for profit, tribalism for profit. Aki and his chopped cheese sandwiches ain't raising awareness of an issue that needs to be addressed. He's misappropriating an issue that needs to be addressed and injecting it somewhere where it's not present, where it's absent. According to him, Canelo Alvarez refuses to fight fighters because of what happened in the Floyd Mayweather Jr. fight, but he's fought fighters since then.
What the fuck's this guy talking about?
Are you expecting him to fight every fighter of a particular denomination, every fighter of a particular race, place, or ethnicity? Is that what the expectation is? Or is that the expectation you're attempting to create and thereby capitalize on?
I told you somebody gave him a hood pass and now he wants to be boxing's DJ Khaled.
This is why Canelo is the pioneer of the NBF belt. No fighters witness protection franchise.
This guy's a snake. This culture vulture. This guy's attempting to use issues that hit close to home, issues that strike a chord with a lot of people. He's using those issues to amass an audience so that he can thereby garner a profit from that audience. That's literally what he's doing. He's spouting misinformation, spreading falsehoods and false narratives.
Lies.
To appeal to a certain audience so that that audience can put money in his pocket. That's what it's all about. He wants to perpetuate a fictitious injustice in the sport of boxing to thereby appear to that audience as a sympathizer.
As a fucking slime ball.
These are very tumultuous times in this country. Tumultuous times in the world. There's a lot of division for various reasons. The last thing we need is some fucking muppet misappropriating real issues for personal gain, for personal profit. Rest assured, that's what this guy's doing. Thus, it must be those most affected by those issues
that call him out.
Piece of shit like this can't hope to amass an audience of any kind with his boxing knowledge because he has no boxing knowledge. What he can do is use already existing themes, already existing issues that are familiar to everyone. What he can do is use those existing themes, existing issues as a platform to launch himself as a voice of the people. But this guy, he's a false prophet.
In the second book of Corinthians, chapter 11, verse 13. Such men are false prophets, deceitful workmen, disguising themselves as apostles. And it is no wonder, for even Satan disguises himself as an angel of light.
Blissful ignorance need not apply here, ladies and gentlemen. This worm knows exactly what he's doing, and he knows exactly why he's doing it.
You think this guy doesn't know that he's lying?
It's pretty obvious that he does. So the question then becomes, why lie at all? Why not just tell the truth? Why are you painting this inaccurate picture of what's going on in the sport?
What do you hope to gain by doing that?
Money. I told you. Dante's Boxing Nation, one of the bigger boxing channels here in YTBC. He gave Aki a hood pass, gave him access to his audience, and now what this clown does is pander to that audience by misappropriating real-life issues and injecting them in places where they don't belong. And what he does for profit. He does it for money. If these false prophets are allowed to spread this misinformation, going unchallenged by those that know better, well, the YTBC won't be a very pleasant place to be. What really bothers me about these kinds of YouTube authors that spread this kind of toxicity for profit is that they're promoting prejudice and division. Division in a sport that does not need to shrink, it needs to grow. And division at a time when that's the last thing we need in this country, and that's the last thing we need in the world.
Now, we've talked about why this piece of shit is doing what he's doing.
We now have to address the audience that he caters to. and how these individuals
Morons.
are greatly lacking independent thought. They don't pay attention to what is being said so much as who's saying it and trust in that individual.
They don't even really care if it's true or not.
So long as it sounds good and it's what they want to hear. For almost 3 to 4 years now, I've been telling you guys, those kinds of people, they ain't boxing fans.
Don't be fooled by the views.
Or the size of the channel and what number of subscribers it may garner. Those individuals that subscribe to those channels, subscribe to that school of thought, do not represent the sport of boxing or its audience, because its audience is global, not limited or exclusive to a pocket of hateful individuals. Need their fragile egos stroked and coddled daily by belittling anyone who isn't them.
These are toxic fucking people.
And these kinds of toxic people exist the world over. In every form, every race, every place, every region in the world, you can find people like this that have this kind of a mindset. More exclusive to this conversation, the audience that one such as Aki TV panders to is an audience primarily comprised of very hateful individuals.
They fucking hate everybody, man.
Everyone they do not accept as an ambassador of who they are. Thus, the real issue emerges. Their real issue.
This ain't about boxing. It's about them.
Because as far as boxing goes, boxing and boxers, you'll find brothers in arms from all around the world. From right here in America to the United Kingdom to Eastern Europe to Asia. Boxing is a global sport, and its participants are from all around the globe, all around the world. A fighter like a Kalia Karuni, who hails from Greece, found everything she was looking for in this part of the world by residing in Las Vegas, Nevada, and having fights in Mexico. Kim Clavel of Canada, she couldn't get what she wanted where she was at, so she also had to go south of the border, found what she was looking for. Joshua Buatsi of the United Kingdom is training under the tutelage of Virgil Hunter. Two guys that are separated by transatlantic waters in origin are now working together. That is boxing. Katie Taylor of Ireland.
She thinks Roy Jones Jr. is one of the greatest boxers that ever boxed.
Was seen post-fight alongside her trainer, Ross, who hails from America, alongside Roy Jones Jr. Boxing is a global sport. It's not the way that these guys say it is. Guys like Aki TV.
They are in the business of promoting division.
They are in the business of promoting hate. Hate for profit. Tyson Fury's from the United Kingdom, and his trainer, Sugar Hill Stewart, is from the United States. Yet, in spite of being divided by transatlantic waters in their origins, they work together.
This is boxing.
So why isn't Aki TV promoting that? Ismael Salas of Cuba has worked the corners of Kazuto Ioka of Japan and Joe Joyce of the United Kingdom once again. This is boxing, but this is not what's being promoted by certain YouTube authors. The realities of the sport, that it's a global sport with many brothers in arms from all around the world. You won't hear that from Aki TV. He's in the business of profiteering off of baiting and politics. That's what he does, and he's not alone. There are other channels just like his. The reality of this sport, pugilism, prize fighting, is that the only color these days that motivates anything is green.
Money.
If we're going to have that conversation, if that's the nature of the discussion, though even the color of money these days is not specific to one color, as money in the United Kingdom is just as good as money in the United States.
Just as good as money in Saudi Arabia.
Just ask Eddie Hearn. More to the point, one such as Aki TV should not be allowed to misappropriate real-life issues that affect real people for profit by injecting them in places where they don't belong or are absent. He claims that Canelo Alvarez has a aversion to fighting fighters of a specific denomination due to what he suffered at the hands of Floyd Mayweather Jr., and yet, since having fought Floyd Mayweather Jr., he fought Erislandy Lara, he fought Daniel Jacobs. If what this clown was saying were true, he wouldn't have fought those fucking guys. What was in it for Canelo in fighting Lara? He wasn't a big name then, and he's not a big name now. We see that in his viewing figures. But he fought him anyway, didn't he?
He did.
Daniel Jacobs, second only to Canelo, gave Gennady Golovkin his hardest fight up until that point, but Canelo Alvarez sought him out and fought him anyway. You thought about how toxic what this guy's saying is? He's actually lambasting Canelo Alvarez for fighting fighters of European descent. What, is he not supposed to fight those fighters? Is he supposed to ostracize them? Alienate them? Are they not supposed to get the same opportunities to fight Canelo Alvarez that Lara got, that Daniel Jacobs got? Is that what's going on? Is that what's supposed to be going on?
He's on a Europe tour as we speak. This is why Canelo is the pioneer of the NBF belt. No black fighters witness protection franchise. Because, again, Canelo is the best non-black fighter in the world. That's what he is, because he don't fight any black fighters.
So many words, this guy's shitting on a lot of people and their ability to box based solely on the color of their skin and where they come from. It's bigotry for a budget, propaganda for profit, hate for profit, tribalism for profit. These are snap judgments based on anything but boxing and a boxer's ability to box. Well, because Canelo Alvarez is fighting world champions that are from a specific region, but they are world champions nonetheless, two of them unbeaten. Never mind that, never mind those realities, because those fighters don't fit the mold that Aki wants them to, well, I guess they aren't good fighters then, aren't they?
And I guess we're not supposed to give Canelo any credit.
In that way, I don't know how much credit I'm supposed to give Jermall Charlo for who he's fought so far when he doesn't seem to be fighting those same kinds of fighters either. The kinds of fighters that Aki TV demands that Canelo Alvarez fight. Jermall Charlo ain't fighting those guys either, even though he's got the opportunity.
This is real toxic fucking stuff, man.
Criminal, as far as I'm concerned. Criminal, as this is a crime of conscience. Personally, I think it's unconscionable to use issues that hit close to home, misappropriating those issues as a means to make a couple of dollars, get some beer money.
Sneaker money.
Aki doesn't seem to mind, though.
Hey, he's all about the bullshit.
I mean, what do you actually think a guy like this is advocating for when so much of what he says is false?
Quite easily proven false.
What do you think he's actually doing by promoting what he's promoting and saying what he's saying? What do you think the end game is? I'm just giving it to you straight, because it's the only way I know how to give it to you. And this guy, this guy's a fucking slime ball, and we need to start weeding these people out of the YTBC. Him and anybody like him.